Well, hi girls. It's been a while since I've been on here, and I wanted to come on here because I wanted to make this video because I've received a lot of emails and messages from those that are just starting their path and they're interested in learning where to begin. And I've responded, typing out emails and that sort of thing, and I thought it might be actually a little bit easier just to make a video about it. So here I am. Cheers. The one question that I get is, where do I start in all of this? I have individuals reaching out that they're typically very empathetic folks that are looking on how to start, where to even begin. I got a message this morning from a person who is an empath, a nurse, and they're looking for a jumping off point. They feel like they're flailing around trying to figure out, what do I do? So the answer I gave them was a fairly short one. This information, there's so much to it. I can't just send an email. So, and encompass anything of value, really, except pointing them in different places of where to find it. And I don't want to pass the buck if I can help it. So, first and foremost, depending on where you're at in your path, everyone can benefit from learning to quiet yourself, to quiet your mind, and to learn to be still. That's the first bit of advice that I give everyone. And it goes hand in hand with spiritual and energetic hygiene. Those two things, to me, are the very most important places to begin. Being able to focus your energy and quiet your mind is becoming increasingly difficult in this day and age because of technology. Our cell phones are always making noise and they're lighting up, and everything is that we live in a world where technology is grabbing our attention constantly. So being able to center yourself and ground yourself and quiet enough to be able to occupy your space and be present, it's very difficult. And even as I get older with my practice, as long as I've been doing this, I know I find every day, there's little points where I'm trying to focus or I'm trying to center. And I find it difficult, depending on what's going on and where I'm at. So I have a video on here that already covers grounding and centering, and that goes a little more in depth. But grounding and centering yourself, being able to pull your focus from out here to right here, is hugely important. And then grounding your energy instead of bottling it up. If you don't ground your energy, you end up this roiling mass of, who knows, everything from jitters to anger to frustration to fatigue. And ultimately, if you can't ground and release energy, it can ultimately make you sick. It can hurt you. So learning those things is very important. Next, spiritual and energetic hygiene. When you're a deeply empathetic individual, which most of the individuals that I have ran into on this path, whether they're, it's old hat for them or they're individuals just coming into the practice, they're empathetic. And I have a theory as to why that's the case, but empaths, those that are truly, they're sensitive individuals and they're truly in touch with how they feel about things. Those are the individuals that are drawn to the path of witchcraft and energy. And so spiritual hygiene and energetic hygiene is very important. Number one, knowing what does and what doesn't belong to you. So when you have an experience where, and I've made this example a few times, but you go to the grocery store and you're standing in line and you're having a great day and everything is wonderful, and you're standing there at checkout, and all of a sudden you get a wave of anxiety for no reason at all. And you start feeling anxious and uncomfortable. Or maybe it's anger and frustration out of the blue, and it's unlike you. It's not something that first of all, nothing triggered it. And second of all, this isn't something you're familiar with on the everyday, day-to-day basis. Those are typically you picking up on the energy of somebody else. You know, maybe the guy standing next to you all of a sudden remembered something and he got anxious, or the woman in front of you, it got angry at something, and you're picking up that energy, because they're emoting, they're sending that out, and you're picking that up. Acknowledging in that moment that, wow, if you think about it, instead of rolling with it and saying, and trying to plug things in to, why am I anxious? Oh, well, maybe I forgot to do this, or that's right, I'm supposed to be stressing about this one thing. Instead of doing that, stop. Acknowledge what has just drifted through your energetic space and say, wow, 5 seconds ago, I was in a wonderful mood and I wasn't even really thinking about anything. What just happened? In those moments, you're picking up on things that don't belong to you. Let it go. Just let that stuff go. Acknowledge it. I'm experiencing anxiety right now. It's not my anxiety. There's no reason for me to hold on to it, and let it go. Now, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds, because our bodies are hardwired, and we're chemical beings. We're emotional, hormonal, chemical. When you experience an emotion, a flood of chemicals will follow from your brain. That is just the way it is. So when something happens to trigger an anxious moment, your fight or flight response is going to kick in, which is going to dump a bunch of adrenaline into your system, which is going to make your heartbeat pick up. Now, even though you have acknowledged the fact that the anxiety you're feeling isn't yours, your body has already dumped those chemicals. So they're already going through your bloodstream. So you're going to be experiencing that physical reaction to whatever it was. Got to give it time for it to dissipate. It's going to have to go away. So you may experience whatever that emotion is for a little while later, for a little while longer after you've acknowledged it. So keep that in mind. But understanding that not everything you experience in this world is yours. In fact, as an empath, the majority of things you experience don't belong to you. Don't own it. It's not yours to hold on to. And when you're with somebody else and you're assisting them in a process of some kind, their life experience is theirs. It's not yours. The emotions that they're going through while they're experiencing this life phase or whatever it may be, don't take that from them, because that's theirs. And I try and tell individuals that don't take their power away. Just because you are empathetic doesn't mean you're allowed to take their stuff. So that belongs to them, whether it's negative or positive or somewhere in between. It belongs to them. You can walk alongside them in the process of helping, but don't own it. It doesn't belong to you. The next step to spiritual health is cleansing yourself, cleansing your space. Now, when people hear cleansing, they automatically think a few things from my experience in talking with these individuals. They think physical cleansing, showers and baths, and that's true. They think energetic, spiritual cleansing like sage and smudge and those sort of things. That's also true. Some people think of crystals. Also true. Um, the modality that you choose to use to cleanse your space and your body and your aura, your spiritual presence here, you're going to find one that works best for you. I am an herbalist, so plants are my thing. Plants work best for me. I also use crystals, but not as often, and I like the energy they put out, so I'll place them in my space for that energetic shift. But I primarily use plants. And there's so many. I mean, you can Google spiritual cleansing plants and come up with hundreds of options. All of them are valid. I try and stick with mostly local plant allies local to my area because they grow here. They grow under the same energy that I live in. So they're kind of pre-programmed for me to use them, not just spiritually and energetically, but physically. The plants that surround you are already living on the same land that you're living on in the same proximity. They're your neighbors. They know what you're going through. They know the climate, and they know what toxins may be in your area. They know how to take care of you. So look locally. Sage is a beautiful thing. White sage, beautiful thing. However, you don't need white sage to cleanse your space. There's so many other things that you can use. White sage is a sacred plant specifically to our indigenous peoples here in the United States, and it's being overly harvested in so many ways. I'm not afraid that it's going to go away, but I can't see into the future, but I'm not afraid it's going to go away. But ethical sourcing of those things is super important, and I don't know, that's another topic for another day. But there are other things that you can use. You don't have to use sage. I use a lot of rosemary in my practice. You can go get rosemary and just burn that. You can buy it in metaphysical stores, or in a pinch, you can use what's in your cupboard. So I choose not to use that stuff because it is commercially grown and harvested, and it's done without any intent. I grow my own here now, so that helps a lot. But burning rosemary helps. Something as simple as salt. Salt is one of the very most important aspects of my practice. Salt is such a wonderful cleansing mineral. You can use it in your baths. You can use it in your spells. You can sprinkle it around your property. You can use it in your home. There are so many uses. I put it in little bags, cleansing bags, sachets. Salt has a variety, a myriad of uses. Check it out. You can look that up too, spiritual uses of salt. And you're going to find all kinds of information out there. The other thing that is important is bathing. I take two different types of baths. I take a bath that I get into and soak in the bubbles and relax, and I will scrub myself, shave my legs maybe, and that is my physical bath. My intention when I get into that tub is to get clean, my skin, my hair, underneath my fingernails. And at the same time, I am also relaxing and finding peace within myself while I'm soaking in that tub. And that too is calming and grounding because you're in water and you're able to ground yourself and you're calming your emotions and you're relaxing. And that also is a wonderful place to be and cleansing within itself. The other bath I take is a spiritual bath. That bath, when I get into it, my intention is to, of course, water's going to be on my skin, but my focus isn't on scrubbing with soap. In fact, in a spiritual bath, I often don't scrub with soap. That's not the focus of that bath. That bath, the spiritual bath, is for my energy. So when I get in that tub, my whole focus is on balancing my energies, my chakras, and releasing what no longer belongs to me, any toxins, any negative experiences. And I'm looking for oftentimes blessings while I'm there. So you can also use that time as a not only cleansing, but as a protection. So you can look into that as well. And I have actually a blog on my website that talks about bathing for, in practical measures and also spiritual measures. So there's another thing that you can do. So we've covered grounding and centering and spiritual hygiene, quieting your mind. Now onto the topic of pretty things. There's a lot of people out there that would disagree with me. However, I personally think there is no reason for you to buy anything. You really don't. When you're starting out, you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to spend any money. I do have a blog post also on that, on creating a sacred space for yourself. But the whole focus, our practice as witches, our power ultimately comes from within ourselves. Yes, we use tools and we have herbs and crystals and sacred objects. And depending on what path you follow, one will be more prevalent than another. But ultimately, our power comes from within ourselves, which is why you need to learn to quiet your mind and ground your energy and create a sacred space. Our energy is so important, and our thoughts and our intentions. So you don't have to go out and buy anything unless it helps you. Some people need pretty things around them because they pull focus from that. It focuses their mind. And it helps a lot of people. It's not necessary though. You can go out with intent, go on a nature walk and find things that call to you. Find things, if you go out with a focus of finding a wand, or maybe finding something to put on your altar that represents earth or air. You go out and you find those things. And because you went out with the intention of finding that, and that's what you thought of, and it reminded you of when you picked it up, when it's sitting on your altar, just its presence visually and energetically is going to bring you back to that space. That's what you want. You want that focus. You want to be able to pull your thoughts from being out here on everything else right here. So being able to balance your energies, balance the energy and the elements on your altar space is important. And I've done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people, and most people follow that path that you need the balance of energies. You need earth, air, water, fire, and some people will actually go with spirit or ether. But not everyone. It depends on your spiritual, your path, whatever it is you're focusing on. They all look different, but they have kind of the same element. And there are other spiritual paths out there aside from heathenism, paganism, witchcraft, that don't have those elements in there. But you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of things. Find your tools. Begin small. Create a space, a sacred space. Now, not only does that space act as a working altar where you can sit and you can meditate and you can read and journal and create. It doesn't just offer you a space where you can practice your craft, but it also becomes, over time, like a receptacle that is programmed for your focus and for your energy. That space, one, spiritually, because the more time you spend somewhere, the more your imprint is left on that space. But also because when you enter that space, your mind focuses where it's supposed to focus. Over time, you program your mind. So you know when you sit at this altar that you've created for yourself, you know what you're going to do. So it's a lot easier to find your focus. It's a lot easier to focus your intent. So it's usually a safe space for you. It's cleansed and ready to go. The other thing that I like to bring up is cleansing your body, cleansing your space with plants and salts and that sort of thing. It is so important to remember to cleanse where you sleep. Now, when we sleep, we dream. And in our everyday life, we're always emoting and sending out these energetic signatures of ourself as we move through our day. And it lands where it sits, you know. But when we sleep, we spend 5 to 8, sometimes 10, I'm not sure, it depends on your sleep schedule, hours in one space. And most of us have a whole other life out there, and that's our dream life. It's our sleeping experience. Just because your body is resting and is relaxed and sitting in one space doesn't mean you're not emoting and experiencing. As you're dreaming, you're experiencing those emotions and those chemicals are flooding, and you're still very active. In fact, most dream experts that I've read their articles, they say that your brain is actually more active in different ways while you're sleeping than it is when you're awake. So with that, protecting and cleansing your sleeping space, very, very important. That's where I primarily will use crystals because they're pretty and they're nice to look at, but they also emit energy consistently, constantly. They're always sending it out, that they just are that. So I have a Himalayan pink salt lamp that I use. I also have various crystals sitting on my nightstand, and depending on my experience in life at that time, I will cleanse my sleeping space typically once a week, which includes a bit of smudge, maybe some cleansing sprays. I create those here. But I also will clean the space, vacuum the carpet, strip my bed, and wash my sheets. Make sure it's clean, make sure it's tidy. The more cluttered your space is, the more nooks and crannies there are for energy and ick from emoting and negative energy to trap itself, to get stuck. So dusting, wiping things down, mopping, sweeping, vacuuming, burning herbs, maybe using some cleansing sprays, wipe down the walls. These are all very important things. And it becomes second nature the longer you do it. Now, the next thing that I'd like to bring up is in the process of cleaning, there's also two aspects to cleaning. There's the physical cleaning and the spiritual cleaning. So if I'm just looking to clean my space, my house, whatever, and I'm in a hurry and I'm getting ready to head out the door and I need to sweep something up, I'll sweep, pick it up, and get rid of it. Or I'll vacuum really quick. That's physical cleaning. You get in there and you make sure your space is clean. Spiritual cleaning is a bit different. Outwardly, the physical actions look the same. But oftentimes, well, are you coming up here? You want to help me? Come on. Come on. We're talking about cleaning. Get up here. Oftentimes, the physical actions, the physical actions are the same, but the intention is different. So instead of being preoccupied with where you need to be, or what your next step is, or what your plan is for tomorrow, or maybe what your coworker said while you're scrubbing the floor, instead of that focus, your focus is going to be on spiritually cleansing the space. So what I suggest is you put on music. That's easiest for me because I love music. Put on something that makes you feel good. Put on something that brings out the best in you, makes you feel joy, makes you feel high, put that music on. I don't care what it is. If it brings you good feelings of peace and excitement and joy, play that music. And then while you're doing whatever activity you're doing, you're focusing on removing the old, removing the used and the negative energy, and replacing it with new, bright, clean energy. Some people will use a chant while they're cleaning. Out with the old, in with the new. Nothing negative here can remain, only positive is allowed. Whatever it is you want to use. I have several that I use. But what you're doing while you're cleaning, physically cleaning your space, when you're doing it that way, is you're also spiritually cleaning your space. So I have several book suggestions that I would offer to individuals. There's many books out there, and you can get lost in the sea of books on where to begin. But as far as the basics, I'm trying to think of really good books. There's so many, but I'm trying to think of things that, books that are good for beginning, that are good for the basics, that's good for everyone. And that's a hard one because we're all on different paths. Well, let's see. Traditional Witchcraft by Gemma Gary is a wonderful book on tradition, the roots of witchcraft. Ellen Dugan is another author. She's a prolific writer. She's got a lot of books out there. But she's really a good place to begin for herbalism and using plants in your craft. Lucy really wants to help. There's also Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. He's really good when it comes to learning how to harness your mind. I've got a bunch on the website. Nobody wants to see your butt. You're showing your butt to the camera. Sorry about that. Those are all good places to begin. And I hope this video helps. Now, I'm going to be doing more and more of these as time goes on, and trying to answer some of the questions and make it a little bit easier. I'm going to be starting my Amara B podcast, and we're going to be covering all kinds of stuff. That's going to be coming soon. My husband and I are working on that. It's a labor of love for sure, but that will be, I'm expecting that'll be out probably around December, maybe a little bit earlier, hopefully, but we shall see. It's pretty busy around here. I've been wanting to do a lot more videos, and I keep having these sparks of inspiration to do a video. I want to share this, or I want to do that. But I find myself caught up in the dumb things, and I realized how dumb they are. It doesn't matter what I look like or where I'm sitting or, the ambiance or whatever. None of that matters. How I'm dressed. I need to record when the inspiration hits and say the words and do the things. Otherwise, it'll never happen, which is why I get so caught up in the dumb things that's why I never post a video. So today, I literally almost did it again. I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a video. So then I ran around the house and I said, where's my tripod? Oh crap, I still have last night's makeup on. I never washed my face last night. I need to brush my hair. Oh, and all of these things. And those are the things that stop me. How I look, how I'm presenting myself, where all of this, the setup, and then I need to edit and put in all this stuff. No, I was like, Monique, stop. Record the video. Nobody's coming to the video to see what you look like anyways. They're here for the information. So you got me today. My hair hasn't been brushed. I still have last night's makeup on my face. I'm wearing my pajamas still. And what you see is what you get. So hopefully you forgive me for being a hot mess, but here we are. I hope this video has helped, maybe answered a few questions. You can find more information on my website, amarab.com, in the blog. I've got many articles in there that I've written about, specifically about these things. They should be divided, they're categorized fairly intuitively. So if you just look up beginning, it'll be there. When you first log into the blog, they're all in order of when they were uploaded. Now, I transferred my website over a year ago, and I'm still trying to get all my blog posts online from my old website. And it's taken a lot of time. It's been a busy year. So I only have, maybe a third of my blog posts up and available. Still going through the transfer process. But the basics are there, and there's some herbal stuff on there too. Now, you can also check out, I post things on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is _AmaraB_. You can find me there. And then I'm also on, of course, Facebook and Twitter. So hopefully this video has helped you answer a few questions. If you have any further questions, which I'm sure you probably will, I will do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. And if I don't have an answer, I will do my best to find one or point you in the direction of somebody who does have that answer. But you can leave your comments and questions. You can leave your questions in the comments if you'd like, or you can email me any questions you may have. Thank you for listening. There will be more videos to come, and I'm sure I'm going to be a hot mess in those too, because I'm no longer going to sweat the small stuff, and I'm just going to try and get this stuff recorded and put out there. So blessings to you, and we'll see you soon.